We think the fire eats the wood. We are wrong. The wood reaches out to the flame. The fire looks at what the wood harbors, and the wood gives itself away to that intimacy. The manner in which we and the world meet each new day, harm and boon in the meetings. As the heart meets what is not the heart, the way the spirit encounters the flesh and the mouth meets the foreignness in another mouth, we stand looking at the ruin of the garden in the early dark of November, hearing crows go over while the first snow shines coldly everywhere. Grief makes the heart apparent as much as sudden happiness can.
Alright, push the mic back a little.
Back.
Too close.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, is that better?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple that I'm from this new collection I'm working with. And then I'm going to show you these poems I've been working on, which are involved with some buildings in Modesto, California. But first, a couple of others. This one is called "The Constant." There's a group of poems in this collection that are set in my backyard garden, and which include a sort of meditations on some of the things that I've been reading about as a layperson in the world of physics, which always intrigues me. This one's straightforward, "The Constant." It's about E equals mc squared. The Constant. Pulling weeds after rain. The body of a woman is the body of a woman, but the speed of light, why in the famous equation must it be squared? It's already the speed of light. Early spring, tossing my pile on the compost pile, we're hit with a double whammy in this life, sex and other people. But there's heat, that feral, almost chocolate smell, and twigs of cedar, twiglets tangled in your hair. In the land of the speed of light squared, M must long to equal E, or so a borrowed body thinks. Hat askew, sun on neck, hummingbird at the fuchsia. Suck away, pal. Is that better for the sound? And then this one is called Rehearsal, and it's the setting here is the kitchen. Years ago, my now adult son is in junior high. He's been cast as Romeo in one scene to be enacted at school, the sword fight scene with Tybalt, and I'm being enlisted. Rehearsal. Romeo and Juliet, 3:1:128. Hot to practice his fight scene, he holds the one good broom and offers you the broken mop. Pa, he says, how about now? You're the furious Tybalt, he explains, and have already killed. When he'll say, Tybalt, take the villain back, he'll flip the mop to you. You catch it, and thou wretched boy, you get to say. When brandishing the broom, he says, this shall determine that. You'll make a thrust or two, but mostly you're to block and parry his. Take the blade, be slain, lie there on the linoleum. Ready? You may groan going down, but only a bit. You're only Tybalt, no hamming it up. You may clutch your wound, okay, as you fall. Just don't forget, this shall determine that. Got it? Let's go. Again and again, a tybalt for a night, the colander will slide from off your head, clunk across the kitchen floor, the mop will slip from your moist grip, and as the mother prompter shouts, "Romeo, away, be gone," lucky you. You get, though dead, to hear him cry, "Oh, I am fortune's fool." Okay. So now, let me first introduce these. I'm going to show you 5 pictures of buildings that are collected by a group of folks in Modesto, California, who did this project where they're trying to understand something of the nature of the place and the character of the environment in Modesto. So they selected a group of buildings and asked painters and poets and so on to respond to them. I saw this material. This was for the people living there. And as an architect, I'd never sort of worked so directly with the idea that a building might trigger a poem. And I got fascinated by this. Also fascinated by the fact that the dozen buildings that they were showing me were all in the same neighborhood. And also they weren't the kind of buildings that architects would normally celebrate and so on. They were ordinary buildings and pretentious buildings and so on and so forth. So what you're going to see tonight are 5, I'm going to read poems for 5 of them. And these are all within a couple blocks of each other in Modesto, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. Can you see over my head? Or,
why don't you just roll it right here?
Oh, okay, great. And in the early days of modernism and architecture, so Eliot land, for the poets, there was a guy named Adolf Loos, and one of the mottos that sort of drove the early days of modernism among architects was "Ornament is crime." So you'll hear some of that. Anyway, this one's called "Each Morning." It's 330 Needham Avenue, Modesto. Each morning. It's not as simple as I look. Ornament is crime, my father's father said, had it pounded into him from thick walls and darkness. Extraction of light is what, if not nothing, I'm about. I call each morning victory and bring you with your coffee blessings from the other side. Let there be light, and there was light, but most of it stayed bottled up. Listen, you can hear the children praying. Exalted is the daily grind, the daily grinding. We become the broken vessels of someone else desiring. Who, God knows. I would be the sentence that begins, cantilevers out and out, never finds a place to land, ends in the sky with a dash, would be a bridge, if there is somewhere, to somewhere, would bring you with your muffins blessings from the other side. Okay. This is 339, or whatever it's 319, Sycamore Avenue, around the corner from Needham Avenue. The idea of order on Sycamore Avenue. Driving home from work, AC on the fritz, it's the symmetries wash us clean. The little ones, the light is red, the light is green, the dark ones. There is another man calls himself you. Behind the door, it's all haywire. The heart's on one side, but not the other. Darkness calls the shots, but here, as in a theory of beauty, kingdoms of grass bow down at your feet. We're smeared inside with living, the scum across the pond, what we owe the dead for living. But here, out here, it's trim the hedge, hoist the flag, even though it's daytime, turn on the light. Okay. And then around the corner from that, back out on the street, is this little Art Deco building. on J Street, 1325 J Street. You know, the traffic has gotten much faster around some of these buildings on the street than what they were originally made for, let's say. Greetings from J Street. Hi. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right-angled triangle. My birthday and JFK's are almost the same. Look at us, you and me. We exist. Nothing to be ashamed of. Nature just trying us out is all. No reaction. Try again. Greetings. From 14th and J, 1325 speaking. Look at me. Don't I look fantastic in the sun? Feel good too. In the fog, part of the heavens, I'm almost a clock. My horizontal thingies. I stand for something, pal. Check it out. The light's still red. I'm the vertical axis. Being coils around me. See, in spring, my bushes, my trees. Confession. I want to be, when I grow up, the Holy Ghost. It would be so great to be the Holy Ghost. Have no fear. I wouldn't even have to say, the agent of God. God's love is here. I am the lightning. I am the volt. And in all seasons, fallowed be my name. Oops. Amber light. Green light. See you, my friend. Take care. And one of the themes that develops in this material is that every building in different forms wants to be a sacred place. No matter how humble, every building is centering some kind of human activity, and the building is. I'm saying that the building wants that it has that intention. Okay, then a couple blocks away is 115 Magnolia Avenue. Put an ear against me and you'll see. If you're here to do the lawn, what happened to Chico? If you're here for the owner's daughter, get in line, and just so you know, he's looking at a rancher's kid and a kid whose father owns 2 stores. If you're here about the song, I am not only, or even especially, just so you know, about loneliness. The river is wide, the hard rain down doth rain, in all the great ones, form and content, all one thing. Meaning what? Since I am form and I have contents, and empty me out on the lawn and I would still be me. That I aspire to music. I've only told a few. When the right wind blows through me and my windows are gone, I'll sound, I bet, like a sorrowing flute. Gone and gone again. Put an ear against me, then you'll see. Christ, that my love were in my arms. If you're looking for work, he's hiring. Come back Saturday, and I in my bed again. And the last one in this section, again, around the corner, and this one is going to this one's going to refer back to that first coffee stand. It's called Mascara. The old gal on the porch, smear of lipstick, the mascara. It is no crime. Hair done up. And not the pathos, but the trying. 60 years ago, and somewhere else entirely, same summer night, the sky the same and ever-changing violet, a loose white shift, and standing in the same half-open door, pale green scarf around her shoulders, she disappeared behind a curtain and was gone. But no, not gone to feed on loss its colors paint them new. Ornament is crime. Tell this to 330 Needham. If to have a pulse is criminal. Each place its spirit, residing in the shadows like a hungry ghost. Okay. That's that Modesto sequence. So that's... Thank you. It was helpful to do it. I haven't really tried to read these with the pictures and stuff, so that was useful. So I'm going to end with a couple of poems. Let's see. What do I have? Two from this manuscript that are, again, that are in different stages. This first one is a poem that's in 7 parts. I'm just going to read the first one. The first part, just to introduce the character of the narrator to you. And the title of the whole thing is, What is Man? What is man? 1. Blah, blah, walk. And I am up and prancing, yes, but it's not what you think. The word, it's true, releases all the old wild smells, glorious piss of the previous dog. But then there is the leash, the choke chain and the leash, and so I have become so on walks. The prancing merely Pavlovian. Blah blah walk and blah blah ball. Language. You wonder, how can something scentless be so all, so nothing at once? Once reality fetched itself. The true masters, they say, can recall. Mine can only yank. Out there in the sniffery, I find the perfect rotting plum, but he is eager to get home and afraid of every window when, in my delirium, I stake out my squat and release. But after, I am content, am that which delivers the blows, can divine, in remnants remains, cold lavender, wet morning, squirrel out to run, and was not this Oakland paradise? So the dog begins in an ambivalent state about language, and in the 7th one of the sequence, he tries his first poem. His name is Saul. The owner named him after Saul Bellow. And I will end with a poem that I just finished working on, and maybe still am. It's called In Those Mornings. And one thing I want to note in reading, before I read this, is one of the things I've discovered in writing poems over the years, started in my really, late 40s, 50s, that one of the great pleasures of it, because there's a lot of frustrations, is being in the middle of a poem that you think is going okay. You've sort of gotten over that hump that it's not done, but you think it's going to get in there. That stage is the best. And I thought this poem addresses that in a certain way. It's about Monet, the artist, and what I learned was that he, in his home in Giverny, had to paint the river nearby a floating studio. And he did a number of paintings at dawn from that floating studio. It's called In Those Mornings. In Monet's branch of the Seine near Giverny, a cloud of light on the near still river. The rolling green banks, themselves half real, half shapes on water. The river itself, taking its unself-conscious time. Monet, taking his cut at the river. Spread my ashes there in that light, that river, and while you're at it, baptize me too. Awake before dawn, he puts on his boots, the brown felt hat, wool socks and sweater, and crossing the road through the mist off the meadow, reaches the river where, when the light arrives, he's ready. In his floating studio, moored to the bank, 14 half-finished canvases around him, 14 dawns slowly arriving on each. Scatter me there in those mornings, Monet at work in those rivers, moving from each to each, the damp rising through the soles of his shoes. The deep wants to enter a man. Ask him certain questions. Here, the palest purple. Here, a true black green. Is every morning the mind of God, or only certain ones? Thank you so much.